Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete.
All right. Well, I think I've gotten like 250 or so, or maybe 300 hours into Dragon's Dogma 2. The first 2 hours were awesome and great. The first 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours were all awesome and great. I was quite enjoying it. 50 hours, awesome and great. At some point, I don't know, the first playthrough, maybe reaching level 78 or so after, I don't know, 60 hours possibly. It started to really sink in as what was missing from Dragon's Dogma 1. It is mostly, it took me a while to figure this out, but at the time I didn't realize it was mostly the big enemies, the bosses, the ogres, the cyclops, griffins, all of them. That is what was missing. All the small mobs were great. And so, Dragon's Dogma 2 is like a mixed result game. It's about 50-50, depending on the player. For one, if you've never played the first Dogma, then it's a 50-50 for you, whether or not Dragon's Dogma 2 will be enjoyed. Like, do you enjoy having your hand held, or do you like to be able to think on your own? 50-50. Do you like story? Do you like lore? Or do you like combat and gameplay? 50-50. And then if you did play Dogma 1, then again, also, Dogma 2 will be 50-50. Was it the combat that you liked in Dogma 1? Is that why? Then no, you might not like Dogma 2. Was it the environment or the lore or story that you liked in Dragon's Dogma 1? Then, yeah, you'll probably like Dragon's Dogma 2. Because it's the same fucking thing. For me, I like Dragon's Dogma 1 combat. And therefore, I don't really like Dragon Dogma 2 combat. But even that can result with a 50-50, because I do like Dogma 2's combat, but I don't like the large enemy combat in Dragon's Dogma 2. I like the small enemy. The mobs, I think they are better in Dragon's Dogma 2. The goblins, the harpies, the wolves, all of them. There are more options now, for me, with those small enemy mobs for all the vocations. I like all of the vocations with the small enemy mobs in mind. But I don't like the new perfect block. I think I've noticed that the shield doesn't matter anymore, which is terrific. I hated that in Dragon's Dogma 1, your shield, you had to have a high tier shield to block, perfect block, a high tier level attack. But here, it seems perfect block, you can just use a simple basic shield and you'll still always land a perfect block, which is terrific. I do not like, though, how it auto evades you off of the target in perfect block with Dragon's Dogma 2. And I still like the new warrior in Dragon's Dogma 2. Overall, the warrior, the skills, the charge skills, the repulse, all of that I like better. I still like the fighter in Dogma 1. It's unfortunate that the large enemies are so bad in Dragon's Dogma 2. Their attacks are very weak and lifeless. Their enemy AI is just atrocious. They rarely ever attack. And meanwhile, the small enemies are aggressive as fuck, and they do not hesitate. The goblins, the harpies, and all of them, they are better in Dragon's Dogma 2. And then also, now that we have kill moves, which is awesome, I love having that addition. The kill moves just make the small mobs, the small enemies, much more fun. And they do make the larger enemies funner with the kill moves as well. But then you're dealing with these lame-ass large enemies who are like no threat. And the prior video, I say 12 years, not 12 years of development. I don't say that. I say 12 years in general. It's been 12 years of experience. It's been 12 years of thinking. It's been 12 years of devising. Itsuno said Dogma 1 was only a portion of what he intended, what he wanted, and he knew this in 2012. Due to limitations in technology or whatever. So for 12 years he has had time to think of this game and what could have been if he had the technology. And then the technology came for him to deliver. So 12 years later, here we are, but there's no change. Minor things were added. And then things that were greatly advanced in 2012 were removed. I have been doing auto glass for 25 years. And back in 2012, there was a BMW windshield that gave me trouble. I struggled with it. I did my best with the tools that I had and with the experience that I had. Now, in 2024, I have tools that I did not have then. Tools that help me improve my removal of the glass, preparation of the pinch weld, removal of the cowling unit, wiper assembly, things that I didn't have back then. But in 2012, it was good enough. I made do with, what I had, and it was close to perfect. But now, in 2024, I can use all these new tools and also new experience. I've got the orange bat, I've got Dynol red cap, I got pinch weld prep, OneTech QC12 for the rain sensor module, all of these new tools that didn't exist back in 2012. And do you think now in 2024 I removed any of my old steps? No. Fuck no. I just improved it. I brought these new tools, new experience, and I made it flawless. So yeah, I blame Itsuno. If he is happy with this game, these are the results that he wanted 12 years ago, and he's been dwelling on it for the last 12 years, then I am underwhelmed. His game was mostly perfect before. Like, at the time, completely unique. Now, this game, 2024 Dragon's Dogma 2, is just a bore. I still enjoy it, Dragon's Dogma 2. I'll still play it, I'm pretty sure. It's fun for me. But it's not great, and it should have been. So, final words, I like Dogma 2. I can't see myself playing as much as I did with Dogma 1, because there's really no replayability, there's no challenge. Maybe they'll do something with the DLC, add a proper dungeon, add newer enemies. But they had that with Dogma 1 as well. Before Dark Arisen, the enemies were the enemies and they were great. And then Dogma 1 added Dark Arisen, which just added new enemies, which were great. But here we are starting with terrible enemies. And if they just add more terrible enemies, well, that's going to be a shame. And there are a lot of passionate views on Dogma 2. It's either the absolute best thing ever made, or it's the worst game ever created. There's no just middle opinion, which is mine. I'm still 50-50 overall. And you know what? It's okay to simply accept good. It doesn't have to be the extreme side, up or down, best or worst. It can be just good. So, with good, I still recommend it to Dogma 1 fans and to Dogma 1 virgins. In this video, I'm just comparing how the enemies were in Dogma 1 and now how they are in Dogma 2. But like I said, the smaller enemies like the goblins and wolves and harpies, they're all terrific. I love them in Dogma 2. And I love them in Dogma 1 as well, but now we've got more options, and the enemies overall act the same as they did in Dogma 1, but they might be a little bit more aggressive. The goblins especially, they will lunge at you and jump at you, catch you off guard. The bandits are more aggressive than Dogma 1. Harpies probably remain the same. Wolves probably remain the same. They do that little kamikaze suicide bomber jump, like where they throw their whole side of their body at you. It's kind of that, just strange. Not sure why they... It's just a weird choice of an attack. Okie doke. This will probably be the last video for a little while. I'm still not sure which game I'm going to play. I put Dogma 1 on recently and played it. And then I went back to Dogma 2 and played it a little bit. And I quickly went back to Dogma 1. We'll see. Toodaloo.